Hello, and this is Delia again, and I got another good book for Scarlett. You gonna say hi, Scarlett? Scarlett is very sleepy. You gonna look at me? You gonna look at me? I'm gonna read Minnie Mouse, Minnie Red Riding Hood. You like Minnie Mouse, don't you? That'll be a cute book. It's called Disney Minnie, Minnie Red Riding Hood. Oh, look here. All right, so let's start. Once upon a time, there was a kind-hearted girl who was loved by all who knew her. Her grandmother had made her a red cape of wool for her as a gift. The girl wore it so often that her family and friends began to call her Minnie Red Riding Hood. See, there she is with it on. One day, Minnie Red Riding Hood baked a batch of oatmeal cookies, chocolate chip oatmeal cookies, for her dear grandmother, who had a bad cold. She placed them neatly into a tin. Grandmother would like these super strong cinnamon cough drops too, said Minnie, packing a second tin. Then she put on her Red Riding Hood and tucked her tins into a basket and set off to see her grandmother. The way to grandmother's house went right through the center of the village. "Hello, Minnie Red Riding Hood," called out a friendly shopkeeper. "Good morning," said the apple seller. Minnie Red Riding Hood loved greeting the village folks as she walked down the main street, but she was not happy when she ran into... She's going to run into somebody. Big Bad Pete, the village meanie. "Hello, Red," he sneered. "What's in the basket?" "Well, sir," said Minnie politely, "I'm taking cookies to my grandmother who has a bad cold." Big Bad Pete's mouth began to water. He loved cookies, and Minnie did not like the look on his face. "I must be going. Goodbye," she called. As Minnie walked away, Big Bad Pete hurried off along the path that she had just led. Grandmother's house. As he sneaked up to the front walk, Big Bad Pete spotted grandmother hanging out her wash on the line. He said, coming up with a crafty plan. Minutes later, Minnie Red Riding Hood skipped up the walk toward grandmother's front door. Before the girl could knock, the Big Bad Pete jumped out from behind a bush disguised in grandmother's clothing. "Oh, hello, Minnie Red Riding Hood," squeaked Big Bad Pete, trying to sound like a little old lady. "Have you come to pay me a visit?" "Why, yes," Minnie Red Riding Hood stammered. "Grandmother's cold must be very bad indeed," she thought. "She looks awful." The girl looked closely. "Oh, grandmother," she said, "what big ears you have." "All the better to hear you with, my dear," Big Bad Pete squeaked sweetly. "And what big eyes you have," said the girl. Big Bad Pete crept closer. "All the better to see you with, my dear." "And what big teeth you have," Minnie explained. And Big Bad Pete moved even closer. "All the better to eat those cookies with, my dear," he shouted. Suddenly, the Big Bad Pete snatched a tin out of Minnie Red Riding Hood's basket and threw off his disguise. "Aha! Oh!" he laughed wickedly. "Ha, ha, 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 ha! I tricked you! Now those cookies are all mine!" As Minnie Red Riding Hood looked on, Big Bad Pete tore the cover off the tin, threw his head back, and emptied the entire contents into his mouth. Too bad for Big Bad Pete. It was the wrong tin. Those cinnamon cough drops were so super strong that Big Bad Pete's face turned bright pink and his eyes grew large. His whole mouth and throat felt like they were on fire. "Yikes! Water, water!" he he gasped as he stumbled down the front walk. Just then Minnie Red Riding Hood's grandmother opened the front door. So he had the mints. He didn't have the cookies, did he? "Oh, hello, dear," said Grandmother. "How sweet of you to visit." "I brought cookies, Grandmother," said the girl. "How delightful. Let's go inside, and I'll make us some cinnamon tea," said Grandmother. Minnie Red Riding Hood spent a very pleasant afternoon with her grandmother, and that meanie Big Bad Pete spent a very awful afternoon with a super hot cinnamon throat. "I'll never scare anyone again," he said, "and no more of Minnie Red Riding Hood's cookies for me." Look at him. He had to drink a whole lot of water because he done put his mouth on fire. Oh, that was cute. Do you like that, Scarlett? Minnie Red Riding Hood. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Have a wonderful day, and there will be more coming soon. Take care.